Hi, I'm out hiking again this morning, and I was just looking at our big old pūriri trees, and I'll spin around and see if I can give you a shot of them without making you dizzy. So that's them in the background. You possibly can't see them too closely. I'll take a photograph and use it as a cover, but the poor old things. Oh, and there's actually a kiriru sitting up in that one. That's a native wood pigeon. I was talking this last week about, having the roots and as the foundation of everything, and being able to flourish and grow, and that spring growth coming when you've got, really good foundations. And it got me thinking today, looking at these poor old pūriri trees, and they've got all these scraggly bits of dieback on the ends and so forth, and it's because they are being eaten by pest, which is possums here, which isn't an opossum, which is a completely different species. It's a marsupial, comes from Australia, and in New Zealand it's an absolute pest, and especially up here in Te Tautokara Northland, which is the top end of the North Island of New Zealand, where they can breed 3 times a year. So they've kind of always got young ones with them, and it means that they are predating on all of our native broadleaf podocarp forest, as well as they eat bird eggs and fledglings. So they're an absolute menace on our native environment. It got me thinking about, oh, my nose is running. It's really cool this morning. It got me thinking about that whole, you can have great roots and your foundations, but if you've got a whole pile of things that are chipping away at you in your environment, then it's still really hard to flourish, even if you've got really good foundations. So that's things like highly stressful work environment. It's things like kids that need to be taken here, there and everywhere. It's things like a partnership that's not actually, serving you or your partner, to be quite honest, as it needs to. It's not a supportive environment. And that's really about creating that supportive environment to be able to actually continue to thrive and evolve and change as people. My husband and I have been together for 37 years, and throughout that time we were 18 when we first met, and we've been through a lot. We've been through an incredibly painful infertility journey, which left me in a state of depression for probably a good 10 years. And while I continue to, really manage my mental well-being and the periods of depression and anxiety versus, that real up mania, we've weathered the storm together and created an environment together that is supportive of one another. And having that kind of home environment where your partner's got your back is huge. You can't expect to flourish as people if you don't have good support around you. And you may not have a partner, you may be on your own. And in which case it's having great community, awesome friends, people around you that are there for you no matter what, and who are a good sounding board, provide what you need. So there's that aspect of it. There's the social aspect of it in terms of setting up a great environment that's not chipping away at you and really inhibiting your ability to grow and evolve as a human. And then there's other things, simple things like, so for me a big thing has been setting up my food environment, because, oh, there goes 1, 2, 3, 4 kukupa, or kiruru. They're actually called different names whether you're in the north or the south of New Zealand, the New Zealand white native wood pigeon. Beautiful big birds. I'll see if I can get a photo at some point. Anyway, for me, the whole food thing has been huge, because I've struggled and fought with myself my entire existence when it comes to my body and being a healthy weight. I was either dieting and extremely rigid about everything, or I let everything go. And stress and everything else for me translates into a body that I've taught to crave high calorie dense foods when I'm in any sort of pain or stress, and I just pack on excess stored body fat that I don't need. And it's a way of being able to kind of create this barrier and blanket to the world. Now, thankfully, over the last 5 or 6 years, I've progressively worked to look at all of the things that have contributed to that. A lot of it was old beliefs, a lot of it was around stored emotions, and setting up my environment to actually be conducive to eating a really healthy, nourishing diet has been, one of those things that's really helped me to be able to grow. So a few little things with that is just reducing the number of products that are made from, refined ingredients, all of those packaged things that, they're quick and easy, but they're not great for you. I'm a cook, so actually, to be honest, I never had vast amounts of that stuff, but at the end of the day, I used to bake all sorts of goodies, and there's nothing wrong with, good homemade baked goodies, but there is when you sit there and eat an entire cake. So I've changed the way that I cook. I've modified my environment so that I've got access to the really good healthy stuff is there when I want something. And I've found that setting myself up with more of those really nutrient dense foods and having my environment set up so that those are there makes a big difference. So that's part of coming back to the foundational habits, for example, and ensuring that I've got things there that I can prep really good nutritious food with, and B, scheduling time throughout the week to ensure that I am actually creating great basics to have there to just grab when I need them. And there are days when, you're flat out and you're doing a whole pile of things and you don't want to be faffing around in the kitchen for ages. So it's great to have yourself set up so that you can just have stuff that's in the freezer that you can grab out. I batch cook a lot, and I also make sure that there's lots of fresh fruit and vegetables available all the time. We're fortunate, I grow a large percentage of ours. I can just go out into the garden at any point in time, but that also requires me to go and pick, so you've got to allow the time for doing that. So part of setting up your environment and the things that kind of chip away at you are time management, scheduling stuff so that you allow for the things that you need to be able to actually help you to flourish. And for me, that has meant scheduling in my hiking, going up around the hills, practicing yoga most days, and then I prep food while I'm doing my breakfast, which I talked about in my last video, but it's really, really important for me to be able to actually stay in balance, to have that kind of environment around me that allows me to be able to create nourishing, nutritious food and have that available so that I'm fueling my body with the nutrients that it needs to be able to actually be energetic and get the things done that I need to get done. So while there's always this really big to-do list, I minimize that down so that I know what I've got to do every day, but I'm flexible within that. And one of the other big things I've found that really helps in terms of setting up my environment is actually my done list. So the other day I was bemoaning the fact that I hadn't got everything done that I wanted to in the day. Then I sat down and actually wrote out what I had done. And it was actually a really big list. And so that completely flips how you think about, what you're actually achieving throughout the course of the day. And again, that's just one of those other little things that can chip away at you if you're always on that treadmill of, I haven't done this, I haven't done that, I need to do this, I haven't got time to do that. You keep telling yourself that, and that's going to keep amping up your stress levels. Whereas if you step back and you take a couple of minutes and you actually jot down, like, I've done my walk today, I've done my yoga practice today, I've prepped amazing food today, I've written an article today, I've set that up and got that organised to be posted, I've transcribed a video and got that set up on YouTube, I've created some social media content, I've gone outside and picked a whole pile of fresh greenery and got that all washed and rinsed and put inside, I've cleaned the house, I've taken the dog for a walk. There's any number of things that will be on your list that is your done list, right? Start thinking about it in relation to what you've actually done, and it completely changes, it totally changes your stress levels. Because yes, there are still things to do. There always will be. We own a chunk of land. It's over 10 acres, and there is always going to be something that has to be done on it. It's the nature of owning a property. It doesn't matter where you are or what you're doing. There will always be, more than likely, more things for you to do than you can physically achieve in any one day. So focusing on that is just going to set you up for nervous system overload. That's it. Flipping the script and creating a done list actually makes a really, really big difference. So that's just one little thing that you can do in terms of kind of that environment of things that are around you to be able to actually help you to flourish and feel really good, rather than feeling like you're on the hamster wheel and you can never get off it. So that's what this morning, walking, looking at these old pūriri trees, and I mean old, some of these are 500-600 years old, and looking at, how they are still managing to continue to grow, but what they could be if we could get rid of more of the possums that are eating them, change what's attacking them and what's affecting them. And we as people are exactly the same. Change your environment, work on slowly but surely minimizing the things that are really causing you to be stressed, and looking at the way that you manage your time, changing the environment that's around you, and getting out into the fresh air. Those are the sorts of things that actually make an immense amount of difference in a fairly short space of time. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about this week, and thinking about while I'm out walking. Nature is a constant source of inspiration for me, and it's just where I can reconnect with myself and the planet, being in nature. So yeah, highly recommend that. And I will carry on with my hike, and hope you have an absolutely awesome week. See ya.